It's no secret that Cyberpunk 2077's original release was marred in controversy. While some PC and Stadia players, remember that one, had a fantastic time, others were marred with bugs, and players that attempted the game on the PS4 and Xbox One were left with a suboptimal experience, to put it lightly. In fact, the launch is what you could just frankly call a disaster. Let's not sugarcoat it. The company's stock currently only trades for about a third of what it used to at its peak in November 2020, a month before the game was released. But until that point, CDPR had earned a reputation with the Witcher franchise as a developer that made great games. And believers, such as myself, held out. By the time Cyberpunk 2077 was on patch 1.6, the game had hit its stride. It was truly a must-play RPG. Now, with the release of 2.0 and the imminent release of Phantom Liberty, CDPR have made good on all of that initial hype this game was released to.
Finally! You couldn't have done that from the start?
In a bold move, CDPR is providing the 2.0 patch free to everyone who already owns Cyberpunk 2077. With that imminent update, everyone that has the game on either PC, PS5, or Xbox, 2.0 will not be available on the last-gen consoles, will get access to vehicle combat, a new police system, which quite frankly feels like the system from Red Dead, GTA, or any other game with an escalating police system in it. That is, until MaxTac just shows up and murks you, Choom. A new perk system. The old perk trees have been reworked, and if you look hard enough, those of you that are familiar with the Edge Runner series will see some familiar faces. Stamina has been changed, so it's depleted when you fire weapons not running. This one actually feels kind of odd. It just doesn't make sense from a logistics standpoint, but I don't feel that it negatively impacted my gameplay experience, so I largely forgot about it. In fact, in retrospect, it probably helped because whenever I would sprint, I would heal, and I basically felt like the Juggernaut in this game, but more on that in a minute. Ripper docks have also been reworked, and you'll be prompted to visit one as soon as you log into the game. Just be careful that you don't visit one you've previously pissed off, because they'll just tell you to go F yourself. One of the single most impactful changes, though, is the change to armor and cyberware. These changes had me sink more points into technical ability than I had the first time I completed the game. Don't worry, you'll get a free respec when you first log in. Previously, I felt I had to be stingy with my cyberware. Now I was doing everything I could to get more. That and the fact that cyberware adds more armor to V just made me feel like a superhero or supervillain. I really did become the Juggernaut, running into fights with little regard for whether or not I was shot. I was using my shotgun to brute force my way through any objective because of how fast I could regenerate health while sprinting, and my armor prevented me from taking very much damage to begin with. This was the ultimate power fantasy. The dopamine hit felt so good every time that yellow text would pop up and say obliterated when I'd blow the head off or an arm clean off my victim. I could even carry more than 2 guns before I felt heavy and started running out of oxygen. So even if you decide not to spend another dime on this game, you've basically just been handed hours of new content to keep you occupied. I highly encourage you to check it out.
You got no fucking idea, lady.
With Phantom Liberty, V will make their way to Dogtown and find themselves embroiled in a spy thriller that is worthy of the big screen. And that's not just rhetoric either. With the cast of A-list actors that guide this game across the finish line, this really could be something you'd see on the big screen, and not just with a flashy in at the beginning on your local streaming service. Between the main story and optional gigs, Phantom Liberty adds over 30 quests to the game. Most of these optional quests are chock full of interesting characters as well. They aren't as drab as go to X and collect Y. They're more like go to X, find Y, encounter huge plot twist, face giant moral dilemma, try not to get everyone killed, and finally get paid. It wouldn't be Cyberpunk 2077 without everyone's favorite rocker, Johnny Silverhand, at our side. But there are a few new additions to your motley crew this time around as well. And it's not just Idris Elba as Solomon Reed that will have you sit up and take notice. President Rosalind Myers, So-Mi Song, Colonel Kurt Hansen, and even your new fixer, Mr. Hands, are more than paper deep. The first time you meet Mr. Hands, you'll be privy to a private conversation that you typically just don't hear video game characters having. But one of my favorite characters will happen to be someone I had to rescue on a gig. I could have just killed them, but I put V's neck out on the line to save them, and that was because they came off as so human. That's not something that happens really in a lot of games these days. Dogtown does feel different from the rest of Night City, and has some cool history to it that I won't get too deep into here because I want you to learn for that yourself while playing the game. The gang/local authorities known as the Barghast that run the streets have a great aesthetic to them to go with their lore. One thing that does really stand out about Dogtown is it's more of an island within Night City and not just another borough. The Relic system is a new progression system that is also exclusive to the Phantom Liberty expansion. You'll earn new points, not through experience, but by locating key objectives throughout Dogtown and jacking into them. You'll unlock a lot of new abilities that place emphasis on your cybernetics, such as Jailbreak, which boosts your Mantis Blades, Gorilla Arms, projectile launching system, or your Monowire. That's really one of the things I think works the best and I really enjoy about this expansion, the emphasis on cybernetics. I felt like I was more focused on my weapons and body in the original release of CP 2077. Now I feel like we are really being rewarded for having V be all chromed out. I also felt like my character was constantly getting better. Small, incremental improvements. It felt like that improvement shards dropped with more frequency off of enemy characters, and it appeared that almost everything I did was earning V experience, so I was constantly upgrading skills throughout my time in Dogtown, and V never felt stagnant, as if I were solely waiting for an experience bar to creep from level 30 to 31 while grinding. When you run out of scripted content to do, there's also a few more modes that are added with Dogtown. Drops and Courier Missions. In Drops, you'll see planes zip across the sky that drop cargo for the Barghest faction. You can elect to either go and try and collect it for yourself, which you probably should because there's a lot of preem loot and innies to be gathered. Or you can just choose to ignore it and wait and do the next one that comes by. And the next one will come by. They tend to pop up with quite a regular frequency. Next is Courier Missions. You'll notice these located across your map as little steering wheel icons. In these missions, you'll have to retrieve a car for Al Capitan, a fixer that'll reach out to you once you make your way to Dogtown. There are 2 Courier Missions that are story related, but other than that, don't fret if you fail one. Walk away and live to carjack another day. And speaking of story, while there's already multiple different endings to Cyberpunk 2077, if you complete Phantom Liberty, there will be another main story ending available to V. I did hit a few minor bugs during my playthrough, but nothing a simple save and restart didn't fix. Other than that, the only thing that really disappointed me was vehicle combat still felt a little clunky, but I'll probably say that that's more my old man reflexes than it is the game system itself. Once Cyberpunk 2077 got to 1.6, which is where it should have been at launch, it was really a great game. But even then, I felt that sometimes it depended on shock value more than it depended on actual gameplay. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty is the culmination of CD Projekt Red's promise to their fans when they originally announced the game in May of 2012. 11 years later, their vision is complete, and it is fantastic, to say the least.
Fossil's probably busted.
Or you flubbed the number.
The fuck do we do now?
I'm Rob. Thanks for watching, and remember that if you enjoyed this video, to make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you can catch up with all my review videos. And an extra special thanks to all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers whose support helps make these videos possible.
Not exactly loquacious, our man of mystery.
Could just prefer text. Damn sure I do.